We'll start. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Human Libraries of Procurement podcast. We call it Human Libraries of Procurement because of three basic elements: the human connect, the knowledge part, which is the library, and procurement, because we talk about procurement. One such human library of procurement is Colin McIntyre. Colin, thank you for doing this. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been a busy week. As usual, we're coming up to booking our exams next week. So yeah, it's all happening as usual. But hey, always have the time for you, super team.
Right. Thank you. Colin, if you would start with your career journey, what did you do in procurement? And then we'll go from there.
Well, back in 2000, seems like a lifetime ago now, I graduated. I finished off my undergraduate degree in general business studies. I came out, there was a bit of a downturn in the industry in the northeast of Scotland at the time. But hey ho, I carried on working in a Chinese restaurant as a barman. I kind of wanted to think about human resources, people kind of thing, but I didn't have much of a clue, to be honest. So I got talking to a customer in the restaurant and his wife who came in every single Sunday. So over the weeks, we formed a relationship until one Sunday he asked me, well, Colin, what do you want to do for a job in your career? I said, I don't know. So I found out that he was the managing director of a relatively big company in Aberdeen. So one thing led to another, and I got an interview as an expediter. I didn't even know what an expediter was until the interview. So I got a job as an expediter, chasing up purchase orders, and that's what started me in procurement. So from there, it kind of went into a stepping stone over the years. I got my first job as a buyer, subsea equipment, components, spare parts, very low key. Kind of your high volume, low value kind of things, but it made me understand a little bit of the process and how things were bought in a commercial environment. And after that role became an e-procurement buyer. Now this was in 2002, 2003, 2004, where a lot of organizations didn't even know what e-procurement was. So that job was at Shell, the oil and gas major, and that gave me a really good association with how technology could help procurement over 20 years ago now. Okay, so that gave me a really good awareness on the systems, the processes, and just the sheer volumes a large organization like Shell I can actually purchase. So after my time there, I went into a smaller organization where I was, Schlumberger, which are still the biggest oil and gas service company in the world. And what I liked about Schlumberger was the diversity. There was people from all over the world on the platforms, in the offices. And you heard so many different languages speaking at the same time. It was brilliant. Different ways to do procurement, different ways to do operations. Made lots of friends there. It was tough work. It was very, very hard work in Schlumberger. The gap between power, you could call it, between operations and support, which includes procurement, of course, was very, very wide. So by then, I got a little bit frustrated. And there was not much progression after nearly 4 years there. And I went to a smaller company. So I kind of went from Shell, earlier on, big company, and worked my way down rather than the other way around. But what that gave me was a real visibility and awareness on how different size of companies, still in the same industry, could actually operate. One of the jobs I had was a crane company where they manufactured cranes, maintained cranes, and serviced cranes. That was my only supply chain manager role that I had. But the broadness of getting to know the operations, warehousing, logistics, global procurement, there was a lot. Where you think you kind of know most of it, you change job and you realise I don't know a lot, really, because every organisation's got their own different ways of doing procurement, buying different products and services. So the last job I had was at CIPM. It deals with projects, pipeline, and so on. Now, the change with this one was, at the time, it was 40% owned by the Italian government. So, and that reflected in its procurement policies. So I went from quite a dynamic, flexible organisations where customer focused, you had to really jump if anything happened quickly, to more of a procurement, public procurement related processes and procedures. And I've got to admit, I did find that bit quite frustrating, but there was so much other good parts on the job there. And then 2016, 2015, there was the famous oil and gas crash, where up here in the northeast of Scotland, over 200,000 people lost their job, and I was one of them. So I thought, right, what do I do now? I started my MBA thinking I would increase my employability from qualifications. But when I got into the qualification itself, I found out more about me. One of the modules, leadership, we did a Myers-Briggs and so on. And then I realised, I do like working with people. So even when I left university in 1999, right up to 2015, 2016, I still had that people kind of magnet, that attraction there. Other modules we did, marketing, sales. I thought, right, what can I actually do in my second half of career? Done procurement management, done all that. And the very most part, really enjoyed it. What have I got that not a lot of other people has? And then I realised, I've also been doing training, because I picked up CIPS in 2003, and I've been teaching it ever since. So I thought, well, why not combine your training experience part-time into your procurement practitioner experience? And then in my head I thought, who else is there like me who's got this? And I couldn't think of hardly anyone. One or two people somewhere down in England, but then that's when I discovered my niche. And I followed in procurement in 2016, and here I am today.
Right. I think the words that I picked up from that intro is one is people, the human connect. The other one is when you got off from the job, that actually gave you a rebound from there. I have two things to say. One is we are here on our own personal capacity. So whatever views are there are our own personal views. We are not representing any company as such. And the other thing is, if anyone has any question, please put them on the chat. I would be very happy to read it out, and then Colin would answer those questions. So Colin, thank you for that intro. We'll start with that human connect.
Sure.
Tell us.
Sure. It's, like I said, in my career, there's people that likes to work away on their own, and they get the job satisfaction from that. But for me, I can do that, but I like doing stuff and creating things together with other people. Right. It's in that brainstorm and synergy. We've got a problem. not one person, organization, country, sector, industry has got the solution to all procurement challenges and problems. So working with people, and what I found is the more different they are, the better. Coming from different areas, walks of life and so on, it adds more value, and you could really build things a lot stronger, a lot quicker, without having a narrow view of how to tackle certain issues. So I very much like the holistic approach.
Right. And what do you say that how important is human connect for procurement?
That's 100%.
Right.
I know that technology has been in the headlines a lot over the years, last few years, but it's people who drive the technology. It's the people who've got to innovate, test, prototype, launch all the technology in the first place. So it all comes down to people. And because procurement and supply chain is right at the heart of organizations, there isn't one department or function anywhere in the organization it doesn't touch. Everyone in an organization potentially needs goods or services. So the amount of interfaces and the level of stakeholder management, procurement, supply chain needs, it's extremely high. And that's only the private sector. In the public sector, it's even more.
Right.
So you've got to have people.
Yeah. And one follow-up question to that: what can procurement do to do this, to keep this human connect better?
Customer service.
Mhm.
I think this is an area that's missing in a lot of training programs, on the job training and so on, even CIPS. It's an area I would like to see more of. I look at programs, go through experiences, you go on holiday, you board an airplane, you go into a shop, retail store, you buy things. These people have been trained at a high level in customer service. They know it's not the case of procurement's right, end user wrong. That's been going on for years. We need to really get to the heart of things and really know what our internal customer needs. Conflict resolution, communication, having a really deep understanding. It's a skill. It's a real skill and a quality that needs to be practiced over and over again at the same level as negotiation. Procurement is an internal service provider. It's there in the hierarchy. And the moment procurement really understands this, they could find better ways to really not just communicate, but really delight. My first CIPS tutor said that expression, delight the customer. That's what procurement, take on the responsibility. They could complain procedures, processes, other departments forever, but they've got to drive this. And the moment procurement delivers to what their end customers want, that's when they'll see a change.
This part is that delight the customer. I think that's a big one. I'll read some comments here. First one is from Alex. Alex says, sometimes when your career speaks to you and you recognize that a change of direction is what is needed, it is important to listen to those voices, because often something beautiful comes out the other side. So I think that's a good observation there. Then we have one from Christina. She says, human interaction and empathy is number one in procurement. Totally agreed on that. And then Smita says, human connect is key that makes companies and technology work together. So that's a fair point as well. Thank you all for those points. We'll go on with the human connect. There is something as human development and training. You're part of training. How are these two related? Like, how is human development and training related?
We were getting very holistic here. We were trained up at a very young age. We were shown how to walk. We were shown how to hold a spoon. And we developed right back at an early age. It doesn't change. You don't hit 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, or even 80 or 90 if we're lucky, and that process shouldn't come to a halt. Okay, we've had students developing right through the qualification. There was one student, Emma, started off at her level 4, and she was failing exams. She wasn't doing the work. I was getting frustrated with her, but over the years, she's developed really as a person. She's married, she's got children, she's passed nearly all her exams so far, and she's going to graduate with her MCIPS this year. And
Wow.
she's got a directorship in her organisation from last year. So seeing how she was back then to what she is now, she's just bloomed. She's blossomed. She's got the confidence after every exam pass. You think, I can do this. The first exam pass, I never thought I could. I can. And I've done it again and again,
Right.
again. Get level 4. Wow. And then the curiosity steps in and think, how far can I take this? So she's done level 5. And she passed all the way through level 5. So when you get to that stage, you think, wow, it becomes a habit, the butterfly effect. And then she went on to do level 6, and she's got one exam left to get the results on. And then she's way down to Peterborough Cathedral for her graduation. What will she do after that? She'll keep going. She doesn't know what she wants to do yet, but it all starts off small steps. And I was the same. You know, I left university not knowing what to do, but my confidence was quite low. And that's what CIPS done to me. But any training, qualification and program does the same, as long as it challenges you.
I think the best part was that you really don't know how far you can take people when you actually train them, and quite an amazing story there. So nice share. Thank you. Now, getting back to procurement training. Procurement oftentimes doesn't have budget for training. We are the last one to get any training budget and all. Is there any way that we can change this mindset that procurement should get more training and more, how do we sell training for procurement?
Yeah, there's still a misconception out there that training overall, not just procurement training, is just like a tick box. In appraisals, you need training, but to do it properly, you need to develop a competency assessment, gap analysis, and compare results before and after. And that takes time. Now, some companies don't know how to do this properly. There is a good quote out there. I'm trying to remember it word for word. It goes along with the lines of, if you can't afford to train your people, well, that means you could afford to lose them.
Right.
And certainly the younger generation coming up, they're looking for organisations to work in that looks after their personal development a lot more than previous generations. So it's a case of, well, you're saying you can't afford procurement, but can you afford not to do it? The lost opportunities and the consequences far outrank this short-term approach will save. We're not usually talking about a huge sums of money here. Without, you're talking about a few £1,000 for CIPS. Now, that might seem a lot, but if that buyer is looking after a category that's worth over £30 million, and you think, well, you've just got to save 0.001%, and that's the training paid for, and that's the minimum. But recently there was a survey done by the Aberdeen group up here, and they found that organisations that invested in the training, they doubled their savings. And this is an independent report. Doubled their savings. They had 63% faster cycle times, and they were 77% more likely to use advanced spend analytics.
Those are nice statistics.
And I challenge anyone to go and research and say training doesn't provide a decent return of investment, with only exceptions of you've got to match the training to the competences. You've got to do that. When that's done, it's, put it this way, what's cheaper, training up somebody or having somebody leaving the company and then recruiting somebody for a replacement?
Right. Nice statistics again. And I'll just read the comment from Alex. I think that is relevant here. He says, if you care about risk management, if you care about compliance, if you compare about creating a high-performing team and bringing exceptional results in your organization, then training in procurement has a very high return of investment. So there is a high return of investment ROI that is recommended there, and you backed it up with those numbers that are there. So that's subject.
Sure.
Most of the training that procurement guys get, at least I got, was from my seniors. On-job training that we call. And you're an advocate for, let's say, off-job training or the classroom training. How much procurement needs off-job training or classroom training, and how much that can help?
Well, the analogy I always think of, in your case, because you're a manager, okay, could be working in the company for a number of years, and you could have been trained up by his manager, his or her manager, had worked in the same company for a good number of years also. So the knowledge is how this organization does things, okay? And that's good information, good knowledge, good skills, absolutely. But if you complement that to what's going on outside your organization, there could be organizations that could be doing, in the same industry, in the same sector, it could be doing things better, doing things differently. Where a lot of external training comes in, it's sharing best practice. Okay, for example, CIPS is a standard. So I'm not saying one's better than the other. That's a silly argument. But what I'm pushing for is one complements, each of them complements each other. The more channels of knowledge and learning and education you get, the better. It's up to the individual to take all this and apply it within their own environment.
Right. And when you're talking about, let's say, management, we need to justify our training's need to the management. How do we justify that need? What do we say?
It's a similar pack. It goes back to the return of investment, because costs is a factor, especially just now with the, we could call it the global economic downturn. But I flip that around, just what Alex mentioned just now with risk and compliance. The world's changing. Supply chains are changing every single day. So if you don't have skilled and experienced procurement professionals to be able to react and go through this change management relatively quickly, the risks will be absorbed into the organisation. But what I've noticed is there are a lot of companies that just look at the cost. And that is a challenge for a lot of training organisations like ourselves, because costs are more easily quantified. To get the efficiencies, the risks and so on, it's harder to quantify those, but it's there. And we've been, over the years, we've been building up a fair amount of research and information packs we send out to the market to actually have really valid return of investment comparisons. It costs you this, but potentially you're going to get that.
Right. I'll take a comment from Christina here. She says, training its people avoid them doing errors, thus saves money. So that's a basic point again, that why training is needed. Now that we established the fact that we need training for procurement as well, we should talk about CIPS. I think you train a lot of people for CIPS. A lot of people want to know about CIPS. How good is CIPS for procurement professionals?
It's very good. I'm not just saying that because they provide it. CIPS has been with me since I was a student in 2001. I could see how it's helped me and how it's helped so many others. When I first got the qualification, I was asked to be a tutor by our college tutor. Very quickly after that, I got a job in Shell, I was talking about earlier on, because I knew because I was friends with a study buddy I was going through the course with. So it's good for it's really good for networking. Know the right people. They could show you a door that you wouldn't have actually realised yourself. You have CIPS on your CV. It's been shown that it's not a magic bullet. I'll never advocate it is a magic bullet, but it differentiates you from others. You're able to go into interviews. You're able to demonstrate your expertise by applying what you've learned in the classroom into your previous roles. And I went from an e-procurement buyer to a procurement manager very, very quickly. And at each stage, CIPS has kind of been pivotal in each of the stages of progression. So when I did have to pivot and create it lately in procurement, I remember when the redundancy process started, I was here in this room in that corner, desk was different. And I remember applying to be an approved study centre because I knew it would lead to better options later on. I just wanted to have something in my control again, because that redundancy processes are, of course, very, very hard. So that's my personal story, but we've got hundreds of testimonials where people out of work, getting into work, promotions, people applying what they're learning back into their work for better performance. Every single week we get good stories through, but it's not just CIPS. It's not just the syllabus, because you see the books behind me. That's the syllabus. It's not just that. It's how it's taught. Right. It's how you could do CIPS just by reading a book. This is one of 28, a thinner one, 28 books. But we've seen learners, they need support, they need help, they need assistance. It's part of the customer service thing I was talking about earlier on. So the customer service, I hope I provided in my career, we're now providing it to our students, and hopefully influencing them, right? This is a level of customer service that we think you should have. Go back into your procuring organisation and deliver the same level of customer service. Be attentive, listen to your customer needs. So you could have somebody studying CIPS through another study centre and again, maybe bad experiences, or doing a self-study and struggling just by reading books. The syllabus itself is very, very good. And I would argue that it's not a procurement qualification, it's a business qualification with procurement. There's a difference with that. Okay. We've seen master students starting with us, and they get exempt from a lot of the later modules, things like your leadership, risk, your strategy, innovation, things like that. They get exempt for that. But what they're missing is the real foundation of procurement, and that's in your level 4. Okay, so you go up through the levels, and the more you get to level 6, the less you see procurement mentioned. So this is good for people going through their CIPS because they're not just learning procurement, they're learning overall business. Right. And that's what procurement needs to understand. Back to the stakeholder thing. They don't just need to understand procurement, they need to understand operations, they need to understand finance, they need to understand customer focus, all of those things.
I keep saying that procurement is the shortcut for any leadership crash course, right? So there's a lot of ownership, there's a lot of leadership training that is part of procurement. So, as you do things, you learn those things. There is a comment from Christina. She says, "Your talk boosts me now that I'm sitting for L4 on May 6th." So anybody who is preparing for CIPS and going for exams or something, is there any tips that comes to your mind that you would like to mention?
Preparation. Start, and I'm laughing because when I was at school, I was terrible at exams, and now I'm teaching people how to pass exams. I've learned, I've developed, I've got a lot better. It depends, Christina. What exam are you doing first?
M6, I think.
Relationships. Okay, L for M6. The thing is with the relationships, how it's assessed is multiple choice, which is very objective. They're called objective response. But relationships as a topic is very subjective. So L for M6 can be a tricky one because you're trying to learn a subjective topic and do an exam that is A, B, C, or D. Okay, so the best way I think to do that, get your hands on as many practice questions as possible. Okay, the more practice questions you do, the better you get. We've built up thousands and thousands of question libraries over the years, and there's usually 1 or 2 small pockets of information you miss. And in which case, if you do come to a question like that, go with your gut instinct, where you think it could be A or B. Always go by your gut instinct, answer multiple choice questions. And whatever you do, after you finish your questions, you're able to flag the ones you're not sure of. Be absolutely sure when you go back and review why you're changing it. Because usually your gut instinct is correct. Always trust your gut instinct for multiple choice questions.
Right. All right. So I remember one post from today in LinkedIn where you said CIPS students should not study too hard. Right. So let's talk about that, because that is something that talks to me more than, I don't know, anybody else, I think. Not studying hard is something that I like.
It's the other way around, isn't it? The magic window, there's a balance. You can't do too much of anything, including studying. And we've had students that trying to think, right, I need to know all of this in my study guides? Nah, you don't. You don't. Understand the top level concepts. Okay, taking summary notes, writing by hand, don't type, write by hand. It helps your cognitive memory. As another tip I got from my mum, who used to be a teacher. Don't go into too much detail, especially with relationship subjects in L4, M6. Take breaks. You need to know when you know enough. And that's where the practice questions come in. If you know you're getting good scores in the practice questions, and there will come to a time where you think, right, that's it. I've done all that I could. But if you keep looking over and studying, you'll always come across something you're not sure about. And then that creates a sense of insecurity. I didn't know that. Is there other things I don't know as well? And it kind of leads to like this kind of domino effect. And you forget all the stuff you do know, and you focus on the stuff you don't know, which doesn't help confidence.
Right. And Christina adds there that was for level 3. And that is my next question, actually. Could you tell us about the different levels of CIPS, like what it means and how it helps?
All CIPS is very accessible. You don't need any qualifications or experience to do level 3. We've got a student in level 3 that has worked the last 2.5 years in a canteen, in customer serving customers. And she was a little bit, I'm concerned about not having procurement knowledge. I said to her, well, you know your budgets, you know how to manage money and so on. Fine. You know about your customer services. Yeah. You know about your specifications. Yes. So she actually realised, I actually know a lot about procurement already. But that's somebody coming in from 2.5 years of working in a canteen straight into CIPS level 3. For level 4, level 3 tells you the basics. You get five modules. That's a level 3 module there. Team dynamics and change. Very top level, introductory, teaches you the procurement cycle, sustainability, contracts, stakeholders, better relationships. It's actually a slimmed down level 4. Okay, you only need 2 hours a week, including an hour class time to do level 3. Level 4 gets a bit beefy. And personally, I think level 4 difficulty is set a little bit too high. It should be linear, but I think it takes too much of a jump at level 4. That goes into the procurement cycle in a lot more detail and introduces essay type assessments, examinations into the equation there as well. So level 4 is tough. Sorry, Christina, keep with it. But the good thing about level 4 is when you finally finish it, we've seen our students go up to level 5 and level 6 relatively easy. Level 4 is set. Typical roles include contract analysts, buyers, and so on. With level 5, you're starting to look into the more supervisory managerial roles. So either you're already there or you've got aspirations to get there. Okay, either one, it's fine. We've had some students think, well, I'm not a manager, so I don't need to do level 5. But if you want to be a manager, you learn how to do it, and then you gravitate towards it. And level 6, that's your top level. That's my favourite level to teach, actually. I like strategy. It brings in leadership, innovation, data management, project management, and a couple of others. And after that, you get your MSIPs. Level 6 is geared towards real senior managers. So it could be a procurement manager for a large organization, chief procurement officers, supply chain managers, and so on. Okay, so each of these levels do offer a gradual increase in difficulty, apart from level 3 to 4. But honestly, level 4 qualification is the best procurement qualification I've seen. It's just so comprehensive. It's difficult. You do get other certifications out there that lasts a few months, but you don't get the overall broad picture of what procurement really needs to be aware of to do a good job. And it brings in so many different other things: business needs, relationships, contracts, warehousing. Last module, L4M8, it brings everything together.
Any other training options that you know or you'd like to share?
There's CIPS isn't for everyone. Yeah, now you've got individuals that are experienced, and they might just have some areas that may need to be developed. Contracts, negotiation, even some of your technical subjects, project management. So if somebody was good and knowledgeable with procurement, and they're about to start on a project in the procurement capacity, I would advocate to them, okay, you've done this, so CIPS isn't for you. Go away and do a Prince 2 course, which is the best project management course anyone could ever do. And it's short, comprehensive, and it's intense. I'm actually surprised that there isn't more short training courses there relating to procurement about things like AI, blockchain, even 3D printing, because the demand for these things are there. So if anyone wants to get specialized in any of these areas, I would be the first to say CIPS certainly isn't for you. No, it depends on career goals, super team, and how far they want to go. You know, there's not everyone's wants to go to the top tiers of the ladder in organisations. It's long been known in France that they've had a problem for a while where their workers go up to a certain level and dig their heels in, because they don't want all the high pressure, the responsibilities and the stress of senior management. So if people want to do a quick short course or stop at level 4, that's okay. No, that's perfectly okay.
Yes, everybody has their own motivations and, you know, understanding and reasons. You know, the main thing is the reasons as well. You know, why do you want to get trained? What is the end objective that you're trying to reach?
Absolutely.
I think we're pretty much done with the training part. If anybody has any question, please let me know. We'll read it out. Otherwise, I have some more questions. Wanted to check with you on the negotiation part. One of the key things that procurement does is negotiation. Any negotiation tips, or how do you do negotiations?
Planning.
Yes.
Planning. When I teach negotiation, it's 60%. 60% of all the training time is allocated to planning and preparation.
Right.
Know who the negotiation team is. If you need a negotiation team, assess the market, engage with the stakeholders, set your outcomes, break them down, know what the approach, whether it's a collaborative or if it's distributive, assess the cost structure of whatever it is that you're in negotiation within, and don't forget the protocols. Where are you going to do the negotiation and why? What time of day are you going to put it? Are you going to do it early morning where you're more refreshed, especially for a tough negotiation, or it's more of a good relationship and collaborative with a supplier, which you don't need so much energy? In that case, you could just maybe leave it for later on in the day. Communicate the protocols. Set enough time. Is travel going to be included. If there's costly travel, that'll have to be included in a budget. Is it virtual? Is it going to be face-to-face? So there's a lot of preparation that needs to be done in your higher level in negotiations, even practice, rehearse negotiations with other functions. Sales and marketing is usually the best one to negotiate with, because they deal with procurement anyway, just in different organizations, right? And after that, when you're actually in negotiation, practice, practice, practice. Some things can't be learned in a classroom or a virtual classroom or in a book. You've got to practice. I can't really teach people how to be confident. I could show them a process, but it's up to them. We encourage our students to practice with anyone, even their family, because I take great delight when I break down the walls between personal and work up to a certain point, where you could try your new negotiation skills in a safe environment with people around you, and just detect to see what kind of some kind of reaction you could get, but do that in a safe environment first. But it all comes down to practice. And have fun. Have fun with negotiation. It's really good fun. The younger generation nowadays, sound like an old person, you know, in my day, seem to be backwards coming forwards. You know, a lot of phones, text messages, things like that. Go into a negotiation room and just have fun. Listen to them. Try to come to an agreement. You can't. It's very hard to come to an agreement on text messages and emails.
Yeah, I don't think text messages or emails, even that for that matter, they don't help. No. You know, face to face is the best one. Phone call is still okay, but you know, text and emails don't work that much. And read out the, sorry, go ahead.
What do you think about virtual negotiations?
Virtual is right. Virtuals are still okay, as long as there is a flow of interaction that is there. The email and the text doesn't work that much. But you know, some people are saying that AIs are coming and they'll negotiate. I don't know. It just doesn't. It's not interesting enough, if you ask me. Two AIs talking to each other, not interesting enough.
Can AI really teach body language that you're not aware of yourself? Right. You know, the little micro expressions that you've developed since childhood. No chance. Only you could identify them yourselves and improve on them. So yeah, AI helps, but AI doesn't really know you. That's what I always think.
Now, there was one discussion that I had with one of my friends, and we were saying that AI interviewing AI for a job, and then who gets the job, and then who pays whom, and then, you know, you can just keep on going with this. But anyway, on the negotiation topic, Christina says, to negotiate, we need to have indice prices. So that's one more point. I have another two questions. I'll take the AI part first. So AI is going to change procurement. What do you think about AI? What are your general views?
With AI, I wouldn't recommend to put a whole supplier spend into free version of AI and ask them to analyze it. I know a company in Aberdeen last year did that with their accounts. And when it's in there, a friend of mine gave that analogy of putting a bag of salt into an ocean and then trying to pick out the grains of salt. From when it's in there, it's in there. So you've got to be very careful of what you're putting into AI. I know it's very much the machine learning and so on, but it doesn't tell you the whole. It doesn't tell you the whole story. It's brilliant for taking away some of the admin. We use it in our company, and it's in procurement, and it is freeing up a lot of our time to do more value things, and it could be seen to do the same for procurement in organisations. So from that sense, it's great. It frees up procurement to do more important things like work on stakeholder engagements, just what we were talking about earlier on. You won't get AI to improve stakeholder engagement. If AI might give you a to-do list, but if you've got a statement out there by saying, go and speak to this stakeholder and challenge this stakeholder on A, B, or C. If that person hasn't got the confidence to do that, it's not going to work. I used to have a member in one of the teams I worked on like that. It just wasn't confident. So it only goes so far. But yeah, I was a little bit hesitant about a year ago on how much it's going to move procurement on. Now I'm starting to see things a little bit differently. But going back to the story I told you with Shell, one of my roles as an e-procurement buyer, I'm still very much hesitant that it's going to be this big revolution that everyone's talking about. Because when I was the procurement buyer, you had somebody offshore putting in a catalogue number. It created a purchase order automatically out the door to the supplier. The supplier, within the parameters, accepted it or changed the parameters, got back a acknowledgement there. The items came in, went to the Shell warehouse, it got scanned, self-billing under a certain limit, no invoices, got paid within 7 days. And I haven't seen a system like that or close to that anywhere. Okay. Now, technology has changed a lot over 20 years, but the vast majority of organizations aren't using the technology that's been around for a very, very, very long time. So even though there's a lot of companies getting this kind of magic bullet, great. It's still procurement that's got to sell the technology to the organization. And if they haven't got the status, influence, or position to be able to do that, it's not going to go anywhere. So this is where you've got to put the people first thing again. Okay, the people has got to sell the technology first. So even if the technology is being there, it's openly available in the market, most procurement organizations aren't using the technology that's been there for over a decade. And that's my main hesitancy of AI, blockchain, and so many other technologies.
Yeah, I kind of agree to your point. I think the way I saw e-procurement change our world, I haven't seen that yet with AI. So that I agree. I'll take a comment here from Mike. He says, when you study Chris Voss, and if you agree with his vision, empathy is the essential part of negotiation, which for now is out of AI's range. But let's not fool ourselves. AI will be helpful. Even I agree to that AI would be helpful. It's not there yet. That's also there. I have one more question, which I wanted to ask you. Any fresher who is listening to this, what is your message for a career in procurement and how they can make it successful?
Sure. My answer to that one is we want you. We'll take anyone who's willing to learn, it's passionate about career growth, that's ethical. Come and work in procurement. It's back to the diversity point I mentioned earlier. Procurement will thrive more if they've got people that's come in from other functions. coming in
Right.
directly from school, coming in directly from university. You've got the diversity of the age demographic there, potentially different countries there. We're just talking about technology just now. My 13-year-old daughter, she's coming away with things I don't understand. So if you've got that generation potentially coming in, it's passionate, energetic, lots of good ideas and so on. The more, the better. And I've seen
Right.
working with schools as well. They don't know procurement. We need to change the language, change procurement just for them, and say, okay, you're buying. You buy stuff every single day. There was a student in an academy in Aberdeen, and I said to her, what's your favourite fashion brand? And she said, Zara. Okay, why do you like Zara? I like the quality, I like the value. Okay, would you want to be a buyer in Zara and buy all the materials or jewelries and stuff there? Wow, that sounds good. So it's just making that connection.
Right. Daughters do teach a lot. That I can vouch for. So
Absolutely.
that's few lucky ones who get that teaching.
Oh, my daughter doesn't listen to me. So,
Mustafa just mentioned, very interesting. So Colin, Mustafa found this discussion very interesting. Other two comments here. Christina says, it was very interesting. I look forward to ask few questions to you, Colin, if you don't mind. So Colin, Christina might reach out to you for questions.
of course,
I'll just take one more question from Mike. Did you know there is a supplier that offers negotiation through an AI model? So all things happening. I heard about it, but I haven't seen as to what their capabilities are. Before I close, is there anything you would like to add? Any closing thoughts?
I think that was a very good discussion there. Super Team covers a diverse range of areas and subjects. So I think, well, we're going into procurement. The whole world, I think, is going into quite difficult times just now, and I think it's a time for the procurement community here in the Alchemie and in the industry to really pull together and share knowledge, share the best practice, because I think now it's needed. Now it's needed. I remember the credit crunch 2006, 2007. I remember the oil and gas crash downturn 2015, 2016. But I think this one's going to be tough. I just want to say thanks again for the opportunity, Super Team, for the opportunity to have this talk. Thank you.
Right. And I think with that, we close this. Thank you, Colin. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and giving us your time. What you do is amazing. Keep doing this amazing job. Training people is the best part that you give out to your community. So that's a huge thing. And it was very nice discussing with you. Anybody has any question, please reach out to Colin or me, and we would be happy to help. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. Have a nice day then.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel.